You live in the country, you live country living. So if you are still in the cities, then you will not be able to, you will not make it. Right? And these are ideas, these are thoughts that have been circled around Adventism right now in these days, right? So, all. Justification by faith, righteousness by faith, is there still meaning to this in Adventism today? Maybe I'm asking the question wrong, right? So if it is I'm asking the question wrong, someone help me please. Ask the question the right way, please.
I will answer by saying a foundation is still a foundation. We are built upon the message of righteousness by faith or justification by faith through Jesus Christ. Amen. Nothing else can trump that or overtake that. That is the foundation of salvation, of Christianity, of the gospel of the Old and the New Testament. You can't change that. Nothing else can take that away.
Thank you, my brother. So if anybody bring any other message to you, all right? You know what to do, right, my brother?
Psalm 11:3 says, if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? Psalm 11:3.
Well said. So that will strengthen the statement made by the elder here. Number 6 rather, I'm rushing. In what 3 ways does the apostle describe the righteousness of faith? In what 3 ways does the apostle describe the righteousness of faith? Verses 7 and 8. So we are back on Romans chapter 4. We're looking at verses 7 and 8. And there's also a note number 4. So who is reading Romans 4, 7 and 8? Please also read for us note number 4. Thank you in advance.
Romans 4, 7 and 8. Saying, blessed are they which iniquities are forgiven and whose sins are covered. Blessed is the man whom the Lord will not impute sin. Note 4. We are told that justification by faith and the righteousness of Christ are the sweetest melody that come from human lips.
Thank you. Anybody has any thought, any comment? Any question? We are in class, right? And the purpose of lesson study is to ask questions. Here's where you get answer, question, answer. This offers a forum where you can ask the questions that you may not be able to have in any other setting to ask. Okay? So in Sabbath school, lesson study, this is the place, here's the place where you ask a question, and here where you get anything that you might be uncertain about, here you get the answers. And if we don't have the answers to you right now, we can always plan a session, a lesson where you had further discussion. Okay? So come to your questions, please. Don't be afraid to ask your questions. Number 7, times repeated as being impossible. Galatians 2:16. And again, we have a note accompanying number 7. So who's reading Galatians 2:16? I'm kindly asking that you read note number 5 also, please. Thank you.
Knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law, but by the faith of Jesus Christ. Even we have believed in Jesus Christ, that we might be justified by the faith of Christ, and not by the works of the law. For by the works of the law shall no flesh be justified.
So before you move on, sister, let's answer the question now. So based on what you just read there, and based on the knowledge that you have, through the exercise of what gives is justification possible? Answer that for us, please.
By the faith of Jesus Christ.
Okay, thank you. So go on to the note 5, please. Oh, before we go there, what is 3 times repeated as being impossible? Did you get it?
To be justified by the works of the law.
Right. Thank you.
Note 5 says, through the merit of Christ, through his righteousness, which by faith is imputed unto us, we are to attain to the perfection of Christian character.
Right? And there's no other way. Okay? No other way. Number 8. What is therefore excluded? On what ground? And what conclusion is arrived at? 3 things we're looking at. Having gone through number 7, through the exercise of what gift is justification possible, and what is 3 times repeated as being impossible, what is therefore excluded? On what grounds and what conclusion is arrived at? Romans 3, 27 and 28. And there's also a note number 6.
Where is boasting then? It is excluded by what law? Of works. Sorry, where is boasting then? It is excluded by what law? Of works? Nay, but by the law of faith. Therefore, we conclude that a man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law. So boasting is excluded on the grounds of faith in Jesus Christ. A man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law.
Right. So before you read the note number 6, so you don't go boasting and puffing your chest like if you have accomplished anything. Right? All praise and glory goes to God.
Number 6.
Yes.
What is justification by faith? It is the work of God in laying the glory of man in the dust and doing for man that which it is not in his power to do for himself.
Right. I hope you all got that. Right. No one has any comments? So we're moving on to number 9. How else it is shown that imputed righteousness cannot be obtained on the ground of merit? How else is it shown? So if therefore you want more evidence, right? You know, sometimes once, twice, they want 3 times to be certain, right? Because they might be still in doubt. How else it is shown that imputed righteousness cannot be obtained on the ground of merit? Romans 5:17, Ephesians 2:8, and there's a note number 7. So the person has 3 functions for us here. You're going to read Romans 5:17, Ephesians 2:8, and then you're going to read note number 7 for us. Can you have a reader, please?
5:17 says, For if by one man's offense death reigned by one, much more they which receive abundance of grace and of the gift of righteousness shall reign in the life by one, Jesus Christ.
Ephesians 2:8 now. And then note number 7.
For by grace that not of yourself, it is the gift of God. And the 7 says, the thought that righteousness of Christ is imputed to us not because of any merit on our part, but as a free gift from God, is a precious stone. The enemy of God and man is not willing that this truth should be clearly presented, for he knows that if the people receive it fully, his power will be broken.
Can you read note number 7 first, please?
This is note number 7.
Oh, that's note number 7, okay. Surely someone must make a point or a contribution for the Romans 5:17. At least someone make a point. How is, did we sin? None of us here sin, right? But yes, we are sinners. None of us asked to be born, right? None of us asked to be part of this whole controversy, right? But yet we are thrown into it. Just by being born into this world, we are participants. We are not just spectators in this whole thing. We are participants. So therefore, just as one man's sin entered into and is imputed to everyone else, so also the illustration is shown, just how sin is imputed to all of us through Adam, just so the righteousness of Christ is also imputed to us the same way. My elder.
The highlight that we ought to take away from the text is that it is a gift. No one works for a gift. You know, sometimes you hear about children or people say, if you do so and so, I'll give you so and so. We have done nothing. So this is free. Take it, benefit from it, enjoy it.
You know, sometimes I see your hand, brother. Sometimes I go to and our team is late for the start of the game, and they ask, referee, is there any grace? And I would tell them, Grace is a company in Jamaica that I know that sells ketchup, mayonnaise, pasta. Now, they tell me that they're supposed to get a grace of 15 minutes grace. I say, hello, grace is not what you are entitled to, you know. If I, as a referee, decide to give you all a grace period, I realize that you're late, but you are here, the game can still play, although it might start a little later than the started time, I will decide to play it, but you cannot demand that you get grace, right? And so it is. It's not something that we are entitled to. So don't go about telling yourself or feeling that you're entitled to this. You are not entitled. The only thing we are entitled to is what? Is death. That's the only thing we are entitled to. Make a point, please, brother.
No, the thought I have here, the enemy of God and man, note number 7. The enemy of God and man is not willing that this truth should be clearly presented. For he knows that if the people receive it fully, his power will be broken. All right? There are so many things sometimes it's so concealed that if the church members get to know what's really taking place, Satan will jump up like I know what. All right? But that's the reason why people are still kept in darkness, because this truth is not clearly presented. So we have to take note that we have to understand. It has to be clear to us as individuals, because we'll be at a risk in not knowing it.
Okay. Can you just pass the mic to the elder behind you, please? For those of you who just joined us, we are at lesson 5, justification by faith. Okay? So you are looking at justification by faith, lesson 5.
Now,
Go ahead, please.
looking at Hebrews chapter 7, verse 9 and 10. And as I may so say, Levite also, who received tithe, paid tithe in Abraham. For he was yet in the loins of his father when Melchizedek met him. So therefore, Abraham, who paid Melchizedek tithe, Levi in him also paid tithe. So when Adam ate the
Is just to add it to the brother's point. Now, when we go back to the 1888 message of righteousness by faith, we see it there. Where that is why the church did not accept the message. That is part of the plan of the enemy. Even previous to that, in the days of Christ, before he came and even when he came, this is why they rejected him, because of what even the enemy, this was planned since when he lost the battle in not in heaven, no, during the temptation, when he lost that battle, according to what inspiration says, he called his angels to go to the leaders and make sure that they're back. And today, it is the same. It is the same. Because even right now, when we should be
working, trying to get our sins being forgiven, to improve our spiritual walk. He doesn't want us to do it. He wants us to be occupied with things that are not of eternal value and just waiting that when probation closes, we would be in that mode of state, working, doing this, having pleasure, and whatever. Because when Christ has removed from that mercy seat, there is no hope for us. So we need to take cognizance of the enemy and his tricks.
If I had a sticker, I'd give you a sticker for that comment, as a very good student. Well said.
No, we have to be interested in our own salvation. All right? If we don't make personal effort to study ourselves approved unto God, a workman, it didn't say workman, you know. A workman needed not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So as individuals, we have to take personal interest and consider our salvation as Jesus came to save one out of one, you know. He came to save me because of he loved me. And you have to consider that Jesus Christ came to save you personally. If we don't take that into consideration, there'll be no gathering, you know. So there must be a personal connection with Jesus Christ. He came to save one out of one who was lost. So if there was one person living on the face of this earth, he still would have come to save one person.
Thank you for your comments. Really appreciate it. We are on question number 10 of 17. Through whom did sin and condemnation come into the world? Through whom did sin and condemnation come into the world? And through whom did justification and righteousness come? Romans 5:18. Through whom did sin and condemnation come into the world? And through whom did justification and righteousness come? Romans 5:18.
Therefore, by the offense of one came upon all men to condemnation, even